So good evening. My name is Aaron Anderson. I am the CEO and head of school at Logos Academy, a school of about 300 students here in York City. But more importantly than that, I'm a dad to 6 kids. That's my daughter Amelia in 2007. She was 2 years old and getting a smooch from her friend next door. So let's talk about crafting resilient human souls. Remember these? A resilient object is able to revert back to its original size and shape after being stretched, squeezed, or twisted. If it's knocked down, a resilient object has a way of getting back up over and over again. And over and again if you punch it. The human soul gets stretched, squeezed, and twisted by stress. Brain researchers have identified 3 types of stress. First is a positive, that's your heart racing at your kids' competition. Tolerable stress, that's that comforting your kids at the loss of their beloved P-Pops. And there's toxic stress. Toxic stress, that's the prolonged activation of your body's stress systems in the absence of protective relationships. So imagine a 3-year-old being physically abused with no loving relationship to buffer them from that. Toxic stress is like liquid nitrogen on the brain. So if you drop a ball of squishy, moldable modeling clay in liquid nitrogen, it will shatter into pieces. Too much toxic stress on the brain and the body produces dangerous levels of cortisol and adrenaline. And that's why so many kids show up to school not in a frame of mind to learn. It doesn't lend itself to building trusting relationships with their peers or their teachers. And so these kids show up in fight or flight mode. That's why they are constantly in that fight and flight mode when they walk into the classroom. Their teacher doesn't understand why little Johnny doesn't smile, why he doesn't say hello, why he doesn't make eye contact, why he erupts in anger, he bullies his peers, and makes nasty comments. So meet the ACEs studies, conducted in 1998 and 2012. The first study was a suburban white study, and the other was a much more diverse study. And they performed a full adult health screening and a simultaneous survey about trauma. And that survey asked these adults about a variety of types of trauma they experienced as children: abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, neglect, household dysfunction. And the researchers tallied up what they called an ACEs score. They discovered a groundbreaking reality that children who experienced 4 or more ACEs hit a dangerous tipping point in their adult health outcomes. They had radically higher rates of obesity, depression, suicide, sexual partners, greater than 50 sexual partners, STDs, substance abuse, and a 14 to 20 year reduction in their life expectancy. Now that 1998 suburban study found that 6% of the suburban population, 6% had experienced 4 or more ACEs. The urban Philadelphia study found that 34% of people had experienced 4 or more. 34%. So do the math for a second. Picture a class of students here in the city, 21 students. That would mean that 7 of those kids have their brains loaded with toxic levels of stress, putting them in constant fight or flight mode, which is why one author said, every year millions of unloved and traumatized youth enter adulthood with damaged brains and hearts, and they are predisposed to self-destructive behaviors and continuing the cycle of abuse. So meet Harvey Johnson. In his mother's words, she said this: I beat the hell out of him with anything I could get my hands on. A Hot Wheels track, a belt with buckles, a clothes iron with cords, with an Xbox controller, she said at his trial. Now I started this presentation with a photo of my little Amelia. Let me introduce you to her neighbor friend, a little doll named Derisabelle. Her eyes were crystal blue as the Caribbean waters, and in 2007, Harvey Johnson beat her to death with an Xbox controller. The abused became the abuser, and now Harvey Johnson sits on death row. You see, resilience matters. Derisabelle should be in class with my little Amelia in 5th grade today, ready to start middle school. But Harvey Johnson's soul was twisted, contorted, and squeezed as a child. He didn't develop resilience that would have helped him through the trauma he was experiencing as a child. And resilience is like a shield. It's like a shield that you see in this picture. It's the buffering protection that stares adversity in the face and says, this too shall pass. I can make it through this. This trauma will not define me or destroy me. So many of us are probably asking, well, then how in the world do kids get resilience? Well, here's the good news that's coming out of brain research on building resilience in traumatized kids. It only takes one loving, stable, committed adult relationship to begin to build resilience in the life of a highly traumatized kid. And in fact, 50 to 70% of these kids, the research says, can lead highly successful lives if they have one loving, stable, committed relationship. Now, education today is bonkers with standardized testing, and I'm not against assessments. But what if our definition of education is wrong? That education is more than learning the right facts, going to the right college, or getting the right job. What if we focused, as a community, on crafting resilient, whole, flourishing boys and girls? Do you think anyone really cares what Harvey Johnson's standardized test scores were today? I'm not diminishing the value of those assessments, but something more fundamental was missing in Harvey's education and life, and that was loving, buffering, protective relationships. You see, Harvey was once a little boy in need of love, and these little guys, they're not doomed. If the adults in this room, in churches, in schools, if adults who think they have nothing to contribute would wake up and activate and take the time to begin building loving, committed relationships that protect and buffer them, imagine how much they could learn about life and love if they felt safe, respected, and loved. And that's the real beauty of crafting resilient human souls. It doesn't take years to develop the skill or hone the art. It's not a gift given to the select few. It's a common craft. To craft a resilient human soul requires time and love, and each one of us has the ability to give it.